Welcome to ESI Africa Insights. For this episode, I am speaking with Ric Amansure, who is a senior researcher at the Center for Sustainability Transition at the University of Stellenbosch in South Africa. Welcome to the studio. Ric, we are going to be talking about some interesting things around finance.
Yes. Well, it's great to be here. And certainly my research focus, which is on development finance institutions, specifically in Africa, they make up about 20% of all the DFIs, or sometimes known as public development banks in the world. And yet, out of the total assets of these 500 DFIs, which is $23 trillion, Africa has an asset portfolio of only 1.9% of that. So it's a real need in Africa to capacitate the development finance institutions.
Right. So let's talk about what are FDIs doing to help smaller African countries access climate funding?
So there's a number of approaches that they are using. One is to have regional capacity building and technical assistance. So one of the issues with regard to PDBs or even development finance institutions is they lack capacity to have what is called bankable projects, or to produce bankable projects. So it's the capacity in terms of HR, but also capacity in terms of technical know-how, skills, and so forth. So what is happening, for example, the DBSA has a project preparation facility and partners with smaller DFIs to build capacity.
All right. And could you name maybe one or two of the countries that are actually being assisted?
So if we look at, for example, the African Development Bank, they've got a technical assistance program, and they work with countries across Africa and certainly in the region there, like Senegal, Uganda, Mozambique, in the south. So their kind of project preparation units are in offering constant capacity building and technical assistance and potential partnerships, public-private partnerships across the region.
Thank you. And now, considering the research that you are currently working on, what do you define as the difference between just transition and a sustainable transition?
Well, a just transition, not necessarily in contrast, but it brings about societal or social equity and is viewed through a social equity lens, looking at transformation in a just way. It prioritizes not just what needs to change, but how that change should be implemented. For example, in South Africa, we have the transition from coal to renewables. There's a need to transition in a just way. In other words, to look at issues of employment, job creation, but also to look at issues of the various aspects of justice, whether it's distributive justice or procedural justice or restorative justice, which looks at the damage that has been done by coal and so on. It has a clear justice lens. Sustainability, of course, looks at how long that justice will be sustained. It doesn't help to transition, but whatever you're transitioning people to is unsustainable. So at the CST, we focus on both. We talk about a just and sustainable transition, so that you're not only transitioning to a more just and equitable society, but that society can be sustained for decades to come.
That's a really good point there, that we only talk about the just transition, but we don't look at the sustainability thereof. Right. So can you tell us a little bit about the guidelines you are working on aimed at DFIs and this just sustainable energy transition?
Yes. So it's a guideline handbook. It might the title may change, but essentially what it's looking at is how do development finance institutions position themselves for things such as climate finance. How do they look at their capacity, look at their profile, and so developed a scorecard which we call a climate finance readiness scorecard. And basically what it looks at is about 5 different pillars. The one is governance and strategy. So what is the governance structure of that DFI? And that's very important when it comes to accountability. The second is financial readiness, and it looks at the financial aspects of the DFI. Third is the technical and human capacity. Do they have the skills to develop what is called bankable projects? Do they have the technical know-how? Do they outsource this, or is it in-house when they're looking at environmental and social assessments, ESG? Do they need that kind of skills? Fourthly, project preparation systems that they have in place. One of the key, certainly the ones that we're engaging with, the DBSA, Development Bank of South Africa, has a specialized unit for project preparation. And we're working in a kind of collab with them in trying to understand how they do that. And then lastly, ESG and climate risk integration into those project preparation plans. Those are essential for drawing or looking at climate finance. Attracting climate finance is looking at environment, social, and governance.
All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of that with us. It sounds like the research that you're doing is definitely going to have an impact.
I certainly hope so. And from initial observations, it's looking good. There's a keen interest that DFIs in Africa are really coming to the fore. They hold the key. They hold the key to development, not only around climate finance, but development in agriculture, in SMEs, in technology, education, health. They're going to be playing a much more key and pivotal role in those different sectors.
Thank you so much, Ric.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for watching. Tune in for the next episode of ESI Africa Insights and have a powerful day.